Coming to you today from ADD Sports, I'm Danny.
And I'm Alex.
And today we're going to be talking a little bit about some bold trade predictions that we have for this coming offseason in 2022. I'm going to start out by giving my first bold trade prediction, and that is going to be the Tennessee Titans trade quarterback Ryan Tannehill, Rashawn Evans, and a 2021 first-round pick to Oakland for quarterback Derek Carr.
That's a very interesting, bold trade prediction though, Danny, but you don't think that trading Ryan Tannehill right now is a little bit too early?
I don't. I think that they couldn't score points in the playoffs. I think Derek Carr could almost be like a Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford situation, that Derek Carr is really that piece that pushes them over the top, and I think that it'd really be a big get for the Titans, and it would really push them into Super Bowl contention.
But if we can go back to the wild card round, Derek Carr had a chance in the last drive to win that game, and he threw that game losing interception, so he could be a little borderline the same as Ryan Tannehill.
That's subjective there. I think that if Derrick Henry was on the same team as Derek Carr, he'd be more balanced, and they wouldn't be able to. They'd have to respect the run a little more, and he'd be slinging the rock all over the field.
Are you throwing shade at Josh Jacobs that he's not that great of a running back as Derrick Henry is?
Not necessarily Josh Jacobs, but I don't know that anyone's as good of a running back as Derrick Henry currently is. I mean, he is just an absolute force in the NFL with his size and strength.
What if it was just a coaching error in Las Vegas?
Well, they've sure had their fair share of coaching errors and coaching hires in Las Vegas, the last one being John Gruden. But, yeah, it's possible the coach made an error and ran the wrong play, and that's why Derek Carr threw an interception. So I would agree with you there. So what's one of your bold predictions there, buddy boy?
Well, buddy boy, my first bold prediction is there's rumblings in Seattle that Russell Wilson wants out, so why not send Russell Wilson to the Bucs after Tom Brady just retired?
Well, I'm going to stop you right there, bud. Now, why would the Bucs go after Wilson with the idea that they're going to have to give up so much for him? You'd probably have to give up Devin White, Shaq Barrett, maybe a 2022 first-round pick. And I think Wilson would come to a Bucs team that was fairly depleted, so I don't know if I'm picking up what you're laying down there, bud.
I'm not sure. I think they can maneuver their trade assets to make it work where they're not getting rid of Devin White and Shaquille Barrett. They got pieces like O.J. Howard or they've got. Well, I think Mike Edwards was a little questionable with Bruce Arians this season, as like Antonio Brown was. So
that fake fax card.
Yeah, so I think they could move a couple other valuable pieces to maneuver a trade to get Russell Wilson without losing a lot of their assets. Well, and I know that Mike Evans and a lot of other players restructured their contracts to be able to, this offseason, to be able to come back and try to make a second run, which it didn't work out. But
I'm sure that if the Bucs could trade Mike Edwards for Russell Wilson, they will certainly do it.
Well, throw in the draft picks too, but
oh boy. All right, so my second bold trade prediction is that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as Alex just mentioned, are going to trade backup quarterback Ryan Griffin, backup offensive lineman Nick Leverett, and a $100 Publix gift card to the New Orleans Saints for quarterback Jameis Winston.
Here we go again with your Jameis Winston to the Buccaneers take. How many times are we have to go over this take before you decide you don't want Jameis Winston back in a Bucs jersey? We are running the risk of him going into Publix and stealing more crab legs after he uses that $100 Publix gift card. His turnover battles are not worth the headache. He already tried it with Bruce Arians once. No on Jameis Winston take.
You know, the real shame on the whole Jameis Winston saga with the crab legs was that the NIL deals were not in place when Jameis stole those crab legs. I mean, can you imagine the amount of seafood deals that Jameis would be able to acquire through NIL? I mean, he'd be on salmon commercials. He'd probably be, he'd be like the face of the oyster bar, tilapia commercials, you name it. I mean, maybe king crab, stone crab legs, Jameis would. And so that's really the shame of the matter. But, yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. That's definitely one of my bold takes for sure.
On the side note of that NIL that you just mentioned, go check out our video on the NIL take that we had. It's pretty interesting. Well, my second bold prediction is the Saints have a disgruntled wide receiver that hasn't played in a year due to injury, and I foresee the Saints going for more of a rebuild approach after Sean Payton now retired or stepped down or whatever the case may be in that case, and they trade Michael Thomas to the Cleveland Browns.
I don't know if I'm feeling you on that one either there, muchacho. I don't know. Why would the Browns want a guy like Michael Thomas? I mean, he's got a big-time mega contract with a bunch of zeros behind it. He hasn't been that productive. I mean, even last year, did he play last year?
He was sidelined with an injury. So he didn't play last year.
So he's brittle. So why would they want a $20 million brittle boy? I don't see it, man. He hasn't been productive in years.
One year, he was productive the previous year. And he's not brittle. I think that's the first time in his career he got injured. And
I don't think he played the previous year either, because I remember him coming back to the Bucs against the playoffs, and he hadn't played for all that time. I think he was injured the year before too.
No, he might have gotten injured like maybe week 9 or 10, but he was definitely playing the year before.
Okay.
But Browns need a receiver next to Jarvis Landry, and what better than to get Michael Thomas? He's proven in the past that he's top 10 caliber, and you could persuade the Saints to let him go for cheaper, since he hasn't played in what Danny Boy thinks is 2 years, but really just probably 1.5. So that's my bold prediction. I think that he would fit well, and it'll probably elevate Baker's game better than Odell elevated his game.
So my third bold take is the Green Bay Packers trading quarterback Aaron Rodgers to the Indianapolis Colts for wide receiver T.Y. Hilton, offensive lineman Quentin Nelson, linebacker Darius Leonard, and a 2021 second-round pick.
Now you're questioning my bold takes on this take, Danny, but what about your bold takes? Why would the Indianapolis Colts be willing to get rid of their top-tier left guard and their top defensive linebacker to get a 2-time MVP quarterback when
you want a 2-time MVP? You gotta go in. You gotta put the horses in the stable, buddy boy. You gotta really give them something that they want in return.
But who's gonna protect that horse in the stable? You can't just.
Well, I still think they'd have an average offensive line even without Quentin Nelson, and you still got Jonathan Taylor who could still run all over people. And once you got Rodgers slinging the rock, I think that the Indianapolis Colts could be high flying.
If he can get the ball out of his hands before that, those Aaron Donald defenders and Frank Clark defenders coming after him.
No, it takes 5 men to make an offensive line. They still have 4 of their 5 even without Nelson.
Do you see the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line? They're horrible.
Well, they've got like 2 out of their offensive linemen are decent, and the other 3 need to be replaced.
exactly, but
I think the Colts would still have 4 pretty decent offensive linemen.
I don't think so. I would.
You think
rather,
you think they cloned Quentin Nelson and he might be, they're you think Quentin Nelson's, giving these other guys some tips of the trade?
It could be, but I still will not give up Quentin Nelson and Darius Leonard for a 2-time MVP quarterback when, who knows, maybe in a year or two he might be disgruntled with the Colts and went out.
He could always go to jeopardy. He certainly threatened it in the past.
Third bold prediction here, buddy boy, is the Atlanta Falcons trade Matt Ryan to the quarterback needy Pittsburgh Steelers.
What has gotten into you today, Hefe? I mean, good grief. You think that the Pittsburgh Steelers, after they just got done with Big Ben, his reported porn addiction, and, being in the later half of his career, that they want to start over with a grandpa of the NFL, respectively, and Matt Ryan, who's, well past his prime? I think they're going to draft someone. I'm going to go on live now and tell you who they're going to draft. I'm going to say they're going to get a kid who's not too far from Pittsburgh right now. He played his college ball at University of Pitt. Really got Pittsburgh to be the strongest they've probably been since Shady McCoy. And that's Kenny Pickett. I think he's a diamond in the rough. I think he could really come in and be a very good player for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm not feeling your take here, Hefe.
Well, I'm not feeling your Kenny Pickett take here for them either. Sure, he could. It's like gambling. You could walk out of the casino with $600, or you could walk out minus $600. You never know with these quarterbacks nowadays. They could be hit or miss. Look at Tua. Everybody thought that Tua would be top of the league, and he's probably no better than top 20. Kenny Pickett could be the same. Why not just go after a proven veteran that still has maybe 1 to 2 years left in the tank, especially with the Pittsburgh Steelers caliber team. They have a good defense. If they can keep Juju, they have a good offense. They have a rising star in Najee Harris. Why not just add a little plug-and-play bridge quarterback until they can find a surefire quarterback in the next 2 to 3 year draft?
All right, so my fourth bold prediction is that the Cardinals are going to trade disgruntled quarterback Kyler Murray to the Denver Broncos in exchange for wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, Drew Lock, and a 2021 first-round draft pick. Now, I think that the Cardinals would be wise to move on from Murray, as he's sort of a dual threat, so he could get injured at any time, and he is just sort of high drama. And I think the Broncos have really been searching for a quarterback ever since. I mean, good grief. Like, I don't know. Peyton Manning really had that 1 year, but I don't know if he was, a long-term solution either. I mean, I think they should have stuck with old Timmy T a little longer. But, they haven't had a consistent quarterback really since probably, like, Jake Plummer maybe. I don't know. It's been a while. So I think they'd be incentivized to get a proven starter, Kyler Murray.
I can agree with you on that one. And what a roller coaster ride it has been for the Cardinals these past couple of years, with them drafting Josh Rosen, moving on from after just 1 year of drafting him, and getting Kyler Murray. And now Kyler Murray is disgruntled and wants out. Their franchise is a little bit unstable. They haven't had a stable quarterback since Carson Palmer. And if he really wants out and gets his decision, the trade assets are great. I just don't think why they would add an extra receiver, maybe for the age, but they have plenty of receiver depth as the Cardinals right now. And who would Kyler Murray be throwing the ball to in Denver without Jerry Jeudy there?
Cortland Sutton.
And who else?
They'll get someone free. Cortland Sutton's pretty good, and they get someone who's a free agent.
If there's any decent receivers in the
Maybe Chris Godwin.
Maybe, if they can afford it. Prediction is more so free agent signing than a trade prediction. I predict the Bengals are gonna push real strong to improve their offensive line. And I'm not saying they're just gonna go. I think they're gonna go and break the bank and like overspend on offensive line help to try to fix the offensive line for Joe Burrow next year to make that run. Because we all know the offensive line was god awful this year, besides 2 players maybe.
Now, Alex, could you remind me of the name of the segment?
Bold trade predictions.
Now, what about that last take was bold or a trade prediction? Because it
I
definitely wasn't bold. I think we all saw that Joe Burrow was fighting for his life in the playoffs, and they are certainly going to have to address the offensive line in the offseason here. So
Yes, but does anybody expect them to go heavy on the offensive line help?
I definitely do. I bet.
You're gonna spend.
And our third anchor who couldn't be here, he told me he would too. So I think, I think that they'd be very wise to go heavy.
If I were running a team, I would probably find a couple veteran offensive linemen to plug the position and then draft one. Not go overspend. I think they're going to go overspend. And that's bold in my eyes.
All right. Glad we clarified that. So that'll wrap up this segment of ADD Sports. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe to our channel. We look forward to seeing you on the next segment, and I hope everyone has a good day.